setting up the mill doesn't take that long, but it's usually half an hour to an hour depending upon the terrain that you're on. And I just happen to be on some pretty unlevel terrain. So I'll lift up on it a little bit, shove that under there a little deeper. Also, when you have to put risers up underneath to bring one up, try to avoid having stuff sticking out where you're going to trip. Try to keep your walk zone clear, because you're going to be building up, building up, building up. And periodically pull out some of the sawdust.
Yeah, like a 16th.
One more. That's it.
Okay, so the other side's not quite level. So I got to bring this side up just a little bit. So you dig that out, move that back. I'll lift it up and we'll just see we can get that side level. If we get both sides level, then the mill runs a lot smoother and it's running parallel and it's not going to be dipping down. Pretty close, just a hair more. Okay, let's see what we got. Nice. What I'm doing is I'm roughing in the idea of what a circle is on this piece of wood, and I'm pretty close, a little bit off, but that's about as close as I can get. So if I take this circle and I relocate it to that side, now I don't normally do this, I just estimate, but this gives you a better idea of how to set the log up for milling. So now let's go over to the other side, because the best we can do on milling is to box off the smallest side of the log. The other side's a lot bigger. So unless I'm cutting tapered boards that are thicker on one end and thinner on the other end, you have to work with the constraints of the smallest piece. So this is approximately the same diameter as the other end of the tree. So when I'm setting this up for a parallel, I want it to be this much further over on that side than that one. So I don't want the edge of the log to run parallel with the rail, because if I do, I'll get to the end and I'll be real thick on one side and real thin on the other side. I want to balance out the whole log. Does that make sense? So you can move the log now, and when you're milling, ideally you want it as stable as possible. So you can put wedges, you can cut wedges and shove them in. That's the best way to do it, because you don't want this thing moving while you're milling. Always check the teeth, make sure you're not missing any. There's only 5 of them. Okay, the next thing you got to do is you got to decide what you're going to be cutting out of the log. And that's important, because to get the optimum grain configuration, ideally you want to do as much quarter sawn as you can. So if you've got concentric circles this way on a log, you want to cut it so that the grain goes across the face of the board. So I would cut a piece of wood out like this. So as the grain is up here, you're going to get all the circles this way. So it's smarter to cut deep first and wide this direction. So I'd cut the blade like this and then cut it so I'll go into it. So each of the boards will have more quarter sawn grain pattern as opposed to flat sawn grain pattern, which have more of a tendency to warp. What are we going to cut out of this, Kyle? What should we cut?
Big slabs.
No. Should we cut 1x8s now?
Yeah, some siding.
No. Should we do 3/4x8s? We'll get more.
Yeah, 3/4.
3/4x8s?
Yeah.
All right. The vertical cut is going to be the 8 inches deep. So right now I'll zero it out, and I'm going to drop this down 8 inches, and then I'll come in from this other adjustment for the 3/4. Beautiful piece of wood. First $700 takes it.
Sold.
What are you going to make out of it?
Table.
That would be a nice table. You know what you could do with this? Is you could run a straight edge all the way down and then cut it in half. No! This is what we got out of that one log. And that's what I got out of the big log. Don't overdo it on the video, man. You do these really long, drawn-out videos. When it comes to editing, it's like, you'll give me 5 minutes of video and I'll take 10 seconds of it.